Whew, good morning, it is 6:30 a.m. I'm David R Godinez. I am absolutely tired. My girlfriend just left for work. I just scared my dog. Where are you? I'm right next to a window I'm vlogging now. I guess that's what I'm doing. I didn't realize that was what I'm doing. If you can't tell how tired I am because it sounds like I'm drunk, I'm not. I'm just sleep deprived. I had a real difficult night in my bed trying to sleep. And quite honestly, I didn't. So now, here we are. And before I move on to anything else, hey, want a quick camera hack? Look at that mess. Oh gosh. All for one little shot, huh? However, now that I have my jump start, I can get on with my day, and we've got a busy one planned. Come with me. So I think first on the agenda today is gonna be to, oh my God. Would you look at this filthy mess? How did it come to this? I actually, no joke, think that I'm gonna tear up. All right, so new plan. First things first, gonna clean the room. And we're done, I think. No, I didn't use my little camera trick I referenced earlier in the video, thank you very much. And now, only every other room in my house is dirty. Wow, that looks pretty. So, I told you that I have a busy day today. I had to check in the mirror if this was still recording. So what am I doing? Well, I have to fill out a whole bunch of orders for my website at cutabovetheaverage.com/shop. If you're, you know, I'd nudge you, but this hand isn't free. And also edit today's video, which is, I don't know the date, but it'll be up. Trust me. By the way, if you're new to this channel, every day, I mean not every day, oh my God, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. I upload videos here, and blog posts and podcasts are uploaded at 4 p.m. on mine and my girlfriend's website, and that's cutabovetheaverage.com, where we give you travel tips, tricks, stories, photography tips, videos. Everything is there, trust me. We just got off the ground and it's at an amazing start so far, and I want everybody to go check it out just because, you know, it's my baby, it's my child, and I love my child. However, I'm gonna get this editing done, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about something that I am super interested in, so stick around. Yes, hello, how's it going? My name's David R Godinez, and today we're gonna be talking about concert photography. My girlfriend's asleep. See? Does that hurt? Are you mad at me? Okay, good. So, camera photography is one of the few things that I'm super confident in when it comes to photography.
What's the difference between camera photography and other?
Did you just say camera photography?
Yeah, that's what you've been saying this whole time.
I said concert. Like, next to portrait photography, which is what I'm known for mainly on my Instagram and on my other stuff that I do, right next to it is concert photography. Because when it comes to event photography, I tend to, because I lean so far towards portraits and stuff like that, I tend to bring that to everything else that I do. So even when I do landscape, I tend to make the landscape, I turn the subject, I can't speak today. When I do landscape, I try and the best that I can to turn that subject into like you know, like a model basically. And so concert is no different than that. So I tend to bring my own style to my concert photography, so this is definitely to be taken with a grain of salt because I do things kind of my own way, as you should as well if you are also a photographer. All right, got the disclaimers out of the way. Man, it feels especially awkward because my girlfriend's trying to sleep and I'm right next to her just yelling in her ear. So the first thing to be noted about concert photography is the fact that you will be needing a camera that is good at low light. I mean, if it's, you know, of course, at nighttime or in a dark venue. If it's like, if you're shooting Warped Tour or, you know, an outside festival, then any camera will definitely do. There's definitely DSLRs that have different capabilities, but low light capabilities is something that's definitely found in higher end cameras or even lower end mirrorless cameras. So once you have your situation sorted out, you know what kind of content you're gonna shoot, if it's gonna be in the daytime or at nighttime, and you have the right camera for the job, now it's time to move on to lenses. Now I almost said settings, but I feel like your lens plays a really big part in this because like I have been stating in my previous videos, have been limited to the same two lenses for the past like 3 or 4 years. Now with this, I am kind of forced to either take a very wide shot or a very close shot with the 28 or the 50. And so this limits me and also opens up, like simultaneously opens up an incredible world of possibilities for concert photography. When I shot my first concert, I was very much nervous going into the pit because there was another guy there and he strolled in there like it was his show, like he was the main artist. He had a real nice camera, a real big lens, which was dumb because he was in pit. He looked prepared. He looked like a real photographer. He was in all black. He had like the long hair that you like tie back and stuff like that. He had all nice man bun and a really good beard and just looked official. He looked like he knew what he was doing. I was with my friend Bean and we were in Philadelphia, and so I'm not used to how cold it is on the East Coast, so I was dressed like in 4 layers with gloves on and like my hood up and a beanie, and I was like very much out of my element. However, when I saw this guy's photos, I'm not gonna put them up on the screen or link to them because that'd be rude, stacked up against like mine and Bean's, who are a little bit less well versed in concert photography at the time, I feel like ours turned out better because we came with, I believe Bean came with a 75 to like 100 or something like that, and it was a lot closer than my 50 was. Because we were so close to the stage and so close to the artist, I was able to get like amazing shots like this or like this. So it really depends on your situation. Because Bean and I were so close and like up close and personal with this artist, we got better photos with our kind of closer ranged lenses. So I had a really wide 28 and a 50 that got like pretty much just portrait. That's all I could do. However, we did shoot another concert where we weren't allowed as up front and we were stuck in the back, and I didn't know that that was going to be the case at the time, so I came very unprepared because all I had was the 28 and the 50. So my photos from that thing I just ended up deleting and not doing anything with because they were bad. Just yuck. I pretended like they didn't happen and I threw them away very promptly. However, Bean, who had a much farther telephoto lens, got great shots because he came prepared. So know where you're gonna be ahead of time, know if you're gonna have access to side stage, front of stage, on stage, you know what I mean? Bring the lenses that fit the situation that you're gonna be in. Next is settings. Since you're gonna be in low light, you're gonna wanna shoot with your aperture wide open. However, that can create some problems in getting focus, especially since it's gonna be so dark. And it's super important that you get good, crisp photos in a concert setting because, I mean, it's for the artist. They're only gonna post something that looks super professional and well done. Another thing with making sure that it keeps light is lowering your shutter speed, but you can't have it too slow so that it creates motion blur because it's just gonna look bad. It's gonna look like this. However, if you have a speed of like, I wanna say, I wouldn't go any lower than 250. I have pulled off 125 during like a slow song because he's not moving around a whole lot. But I would recommend no lower than 250. You can go higher if you can, if you have a camera that has a very, like a wider aperture, like, you know, let's say 1.4 and below, then you're good, which isn't a whole lot of room. That's like 2 stops. Another thing you're gonna wanna do is, on your camera, you have well, on my camera at least, if you have a Canon 6D and above, I'm sure, and maybe even below, I think my 6DD had this as well, is you have 2 extra settings that are C1 and C2, which are creative like presets that you can make on your camera so that as soon as you turn your camera on and switch it to that preset, it'll be there. So for my settings, what I did was set my shutter speed to 250, my ISO to 3200 because that's about where I wanted to be. I'd go higher or lower depending on the lighting. Made sure that my aperture was wide open, and I had everything else set pretty much to auto because when you're in a setting like a concert, you kind of want everything honed in very quickly because everything is happening so fast and you want to get the best shot possible. However, if you're more comfortable with manual like I am, like the only time that I really use mostly auto is in that specific setting because I like to get my own focus, which if you have a Canon, Canons are great at autofocus, so I would use that. However, if you don't rely on it or you don't believe in the calibration or you have a lens that maybe takes too long to focus, then I wouldn't go with that option. I just manual it the whole time, especially depending like if you're really close and it's easier for you to get focused. So next is the really big, meaty, juicy part, the good information of this video, and that is, how do you get these jobs? Well, for Bean and I, it was a simple DM for our first one, and it pretty much just flowed, and the guy was like, yeah, I got you, what are your names? I'll put you on the list. So that worked out kind of perfectly. You can try that depending on the size of the artist, and that should work pretty well. However, if you want to go the more official way, what you'll want to do is, if you want to go the route of a press pass, you would want to say that you are with some sort of publication and email them as professionally as you can, stating who you are, give them a link to your portfolio, keep it very short and concise, and tell them what you can do for them and why your photos are gonna benefit them, because frankly, in the music industry and in Hollywood itself, no one really cares about anybody else but, you know, the artist. That's the talent, and you basically don't exist. You are a necessary evil in this aspect, and so you want to make sure that your stuff is kind of outstanding. So in order to get that portfolio going, because if you have nothing to go off of, then they're not going to check you out. You definitely want to include a link to something that's very evident of your style and your expertise. So how you'd go about getting that experience, like here in Las Cruces, they have concerts downtown and in Old Mesilla all the time. So say someone here in town would be wanting to get expertise in shooting concerts so that they can get like the next big show that comes to MSU or something like that. They would go to a local event like this and try and get the best shots that they could, where anybody can take a picture because it's a public forum, and it's just, you know, it's low stakes, low pressure, and you can just focus on getting the shots. You have a friend who's a musician. If next time they do a show, you can take pictures of them, or even just do a photo shoot with them, because it also works out to say that you don't want to do concert photography and you'd rather just take photos of the artist. It's good to have also a portfolio stacked up where you kind of definitely establish that you can take good pictures and good portraits, because that's obviously like the best case scenario. I have yet to do that. I have little interest in doing that, but if that's something that you would like to do, I'd work on getting that set up very fast. So it's another one of those things that is kind of annoying about being a photographer or a cinematographer, and it's that if you want to step into something new, you have to do it for free for a little bit first, just to kind of get the expertise, because if you don't have the experience under your belt, then there's no reason why anybody should either hire you or even just let you shoot the show, which is the case of many concert photographers. If you are thinking about going into concert photography for money, you're dead wrong. Don't do that, because you will most likely have to fork. You will probably go broke before you make money being a concert photographer. Unless you're some big name, then you probably won't get paid, because like I said, you're a necessary evil, and if they didn't have to have you there, they probably wouldn't. And quite frankly, especially if you're just getting into it, it's probably better for your career than their career that you're there taking pictures of that artist. But for now, I'm gonna move on to the next part of this, which is what to do when you're in the venue. Like I said, Dean and I went into our first shoot it was very unprofessional. Luckily, we had a good venue that didn't just throw us out and they kind of like guided us, because I felt like we made them feel like it was like the confusion was on their part, which isn't something that I'd recommend, but we lucked out in this case. So we came, we're in all black, we're dressed kind of funky looking, and there's like these two really big bouncers at the front of the line where like all these fans and stuff are lined up for like blocks and blocks and blocks. And we just kind of walk up to them and we're like, hey, we were just wondering like where the press entrance is. And like we had our cameras with us, and they're like, are you sure you're press? And I was like, I mean, yeah, like our names were on the list. They were just kind of like weird about it. They looked at each other and like they called something in, and then they're like, oh, all right, you can go. And like they let us go through to the guy at the counter. And then we went to the guy at the counter. We were like, hey, we should be on this artist's lists under this name. And then we gave him our names, and then we gave him our IDs, and he looked us up, and they're like, well, you're not in the system, but here are the lanyards. And so we got our passes, and we just moseyed on over to where we thought that we should go. So luckily we saw our contact like first thing inside, and he's like, yeah, just like go up to the front. There's a barrier. As soon as we go on, then you can just go ahead and go in front. And so even though he told us that, we were still very skeptical. This was an artist that both of us very much admire, and we felt very nervous in this setting where like everybody was looking at us like we thought we were the shit. We had to get a bouncer to like escort us through the side of the crowd to the front. And then once we were towards the front, like people were still kind of getting in front of us, and we were like very timid, like holding back with our cameras. And there was like this lady, and we're like, hey, we're supposed to like take pictures, and like we showed her our badge, and she was like, oh yeah, just get on whenever your artist gets on. And we're like, oh, okay. So it was a very weird, strange process, and I'm gonna tell you what I wish I had known to do when I went into that first scenario. It is all about confidence, whether you're doing this legitimately or you're sneaking it. You're gonna walk up to the guard, because like I said, no one really wants you here. It's a very anxiety-inducing experience, because no one needs you there. The life of a concert photographer, it has a lot of good times, but also a lot of like you're feeling very unwanted. However, what I would have done is I would have walked up to that bouncer, or maybe called the venue beforehand and found out where their press entrance was. It looked like there was only one entrance to the building because it was in Philadelphia and it's kind of a big packed city. But in my particular case, we would have walked up to the bouncers, been like, hello, we are press, we need to get through. They probably would have let us through. We probably would have done the same thing with the guy, and any other venue probably would have booted us out, but luckily we got that stuff dealt with. Then once we got in the venue, we probably would have like held up our cameras and then just kind of like said, excuse me, push through, or talk to the bouncer straight away and tell them that we need to get to the front, not look at anybody, just get to the front, do our job, and then wait till our artist came on set, walked in there, took the pictures, have been mindful of the other photographers that were there, and then got out and then went home and edited. And that would have been a much better experience. And so that's what you're gonna want to follow, is you just need to act like, even if it is your first time, act like it's your 5,000. Because even if you are doing it professionally and this is what you do for a living and you're just like nervous because it's a new setting, then you need to act like it's something that you've done before. Even me, someone who has done it a couple times, I still kind of feel nervous on the inside, but I have to act like I run the place essentially, because it's kind of a dumb psychological cues that you have to give off, because you're there to work and you're not there to mess around or get front row for this concert, as cool as it may look. Take as few Snapchats as possible. Like, if you know the artist personally, that's fine, but if you're just doing it because you emailed them and you got a very professional connection set up, then I wouldn't go documenting it on social media. You already have video and photo from your camera, and that should be enough. Don't worry about telling everybody that you did it, because that's just getting into it for the wrong reasons. So I hope this video helped. If you're looking to get into concert photography, you want to know what to expect, what to go in there with, how to be prepared. This has been David R Godinez, and if you liked the video, leave a like. You can follow me on social media at David R Godinez. That's Instagram and Twitter. My sleepy girlfriend is at BeingAJoy on Twitter, at Steenst on Instagram, and at SteenDP on Snapchat. Our collective site where we sell the t-shirts that you see in the background and also go on adventures and give you budget travel tips and tricks and also stories is cutabovetheaverage.com. You can find that on social media at cutabovetheaverage on Instagram and at cutaboveaverage on Twitter, because Twitter's dumb and only lets you do 15 characters. However, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. I know it's a very long video. I hope you have been enjoying these videos as they come. I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Blog posts every Monday, Wednesday, podcast on Friday also at 4 p.m. over on cutabovetheaverage.com. And just a very big thank you. The website has passed 4,000 views and I couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier. I mean, she probably could if she was awake, but very much thank you. My bad hair thanks you. Also, I have a new laptop coming in, and as soon as that happens, first of all, best believe it's gonna be on video. Second of all, my infamous Snapchat stories will be coming back where I can edit all this stuff on the fly. But until next time, get out there and start living, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.